Aluminum wiring is known to cause electrical problems and safety hazards, particularly in older homes. These are some of the main issues with aluminum wiring. Firstly, oxidation is a concern. Aluminum oxidizes easily, forming a corrosion layer that increases electrical resistance and generates heat. Secondly, aluminum wires are more fragile than copper wires and are prone to breaking, especially when bent or flexed. Thirdly, aluminum has lower electrical conductivity than copper, requiring larger wire gauges for the same current capacity. Fourthly, overheated aluminum wires can weaken over time and increase the risk of electrical fires. Some of the signs of problematic aluminum wiring include loose or flickering lights, buzzing or humming noises from outlets, scorched or discolored wires or terminals, tripped circuit breakers or blown fuses, and electrical shocks or sparks. Improper installation of aluminum wiring can exacerbate the hazards mentioned above. Some common mistakes include jamming wires under screws. Wires under screws should be twisted securely, not just jammed. This ensures a good electrical connection and prevents wires from being pulled out. Loose connections can generate heat and lead to arcing, which can damage wiring and increase the fire risk. Staples driven too tightly can cut into the aluminum wires, creating weak points and potential safety hazards. Rewiring a home with aluminum wiring is a major undertaking that should be performed by a qualified electrician. In some cases, it may be necessary to replace the entire electrical system. However, there are also less invasive options available. One option is pigtailing. This involves adding short copper pigtails to the ends of aluminum wires before connecting them to outlets and switches. Another option is to use COPALUM connectors. These are special connectors designed to join copper and aluminum wires safely and securely. A final option is circuit breaker replacement, specifically installing circuit breakers designed to protect aluminum wiring. Aluminum wiring can pose significant electrical hazards, especially if it has been improperly installed. If you are working in a home with aluminum wiring, it is crucial to take necessary precautions and consider rewiring options to ensure safety and prevent potential problems. The NEC, or National Electrical Code, provides guidelines for safe electrical practices, including those related to aluminum wiring. While the NEC doesn't explicitly ban aluminum wiring, it does mandate specific installation methods and devices to mitigate the risks associated with its use. Understanding these requirements is crucial for ensuring a safe and compliant electrical system. When dealing with aluminum wiring, several key considerations come into play. Firstly, proper termination is paramount. Aluminum wire expands and contracts more than copper wire with changes in temperature. This can lead to loosening of connections over time, increasing resistance and the risk of overheating. To address this, special connectors and terminals designed for aluminum wiring, such as those made of aluminum or those marked ALCU aluminum copper, should be used. These connectors are designed to maintain a tight connection despite the expansion and contraction of the aluminum wire. Secondly, antioxidant compounds play a crucial role. Aluminum readily oxidizes when exposed to air, forming a non-conductive layer that increases resistance. To prevent this, an antioxidant compound should be applied to the aluminum wire before making connections. This compound helps to penetrate the oxide layer and establish a good electrical contact. Thirdly, wire size is important. Due to its low conductivity compared to copper, aluminum wire must be of a larger gauge than copper wire to carry the same amount of current. The NEC specifies the appropriate wire sizes for different ampacities in Table 310.15b16. It's crucial to consult this table to ensure that the aluminum wire used is of the correct size for the intended application. Fourthly, overcurrent protection is necessary. Circuit breakers and fuses are designed to protect wiring from overloads and short circuits. When dealing with aluminum wiring, it's essential to ensure that the overcurrent protection devices are properly sized to protect the wiring. The NEC provides guidelines for selecting the appropriate overcurrent protection devices based on the ampacity of the wire. Fifthly, regular inspection should be performed. Aluminum wiring systems should be inspected regularly for signs of loose connections, corrosion, and other potential problems. Any issues identified during these inspections should be addressed promptly to prevent electrical hazards. Sixthly, understanding COPALUM connectors is essential. COPALUM connectors are a specialized type of connector designed for splicing aluminum and copper wires. These connectors are installed using a special crimping tool and provide a reliable and permanent connection. COPALUM connectors are often used in situations where it's not feasible to replace the entire aluminum wiring system. Seventhly, knowing about pigtailing is also essential. Pigtailing involves connecting a short length of copper wire to the end of the aluminum wire and then connecting the copper wire to the device terminal. This method helps to prevent corrosion and improve the reliability of the connection. Eighthly, being aware of the signs of failure is crucial. Keep an eye out for signs of overheating, such as discolored outlets of switch plates, flickering lights, and the smell of burning plastic. These signs could indicate a problem with the aluminum wiring system and should be investigated immediately. Ninthly, knowing about professional inspections is important. If you're unsure about the condition of your aluminum wiring system, it's best to have it inspected by a qualified electrician. An electrician can assess the system and recommend any necessary repairs or upgrades. Tenthly, checking local codes and regulations is also important. Some local jurisdictions have specific requirements for aluminum wiring systems. Be sure to check with your local building department to ensure that your system complies with all applicable codes and regulations. When dealing with aluminum wiring, it's always best to err on the side of caution. If you're not comfortable working with aluminum wiring, it's best to leave the work to a qualified electrician. By following these guidelines and taking the necessary precautions, you can help to ensure the safety and reliability of your electrical system. In addition to the points mentioned above, it's also important to consider the age of the aluminum wiring system. Older aluminum wiring systems may be more prone to problems due to degradation of the insulation and connections over time. If you have an older aluminum wiring system, it's especially important to have it inspected regularly by a qualified electrician. The electrician can assess the condition of the system and recommend any necessary repairs or upgrades to bring it up to current safety standards. Another important consideration is the type of aluminum wire used in the system. There are different types of aluminum wire, and some are more prone to problems than others. For example, older aluminum wiring systems may use a type of aluminum wire known as -1350, which is more prone to corrosion and loosening of connections than newer types of aluminum wire. If your system uses -1350 aluminum wire, it's especially important to have it inspected regularly and to consider replacing it with a newer type of aluminum wire. When making repairs or upgrades to an aluminum wiring system, it's important to use the correct materials and techniques. For example, when splicing aluminum and copper wires, it's essential to use connectors that are specifically designed for this purpose. These connectors are typically made of aluminum or have a special coating that prevents corrosion. It's also important to use an antioxidant compound on the aluminum wire before making the connection. This compound helps to prevent corrosion and ensures a good electrical contact. Another important consideration is the torque of the connections. When tightening screws on connectors and terminals, it's important to use a torque wrench to ensure that the screws are tightened to the correct torque. Over-tightening the screws can damage the wires or connectors, while under-tightening the screws can lead to loose connections and overheating. The NEC provides guidelines for the proper torque of connections, and it's important to follow these guidelines carefully. In addition to the technical aspects of working with aluminum wiring, it's also important to be aware of the potential liability issues. If you're working on an aluminum wiring system and you make a mistake that leads to a fire or other electrical hazard, you could be held liable for any damages that result. For this reason, it's important to be properly trained and qualified before working on aluminum wiring systems. If you're not comfortable working with aluminum wiring, it's best to leave the work to a qualified electrician. Electrical safety is paramount when dealing with aluminum wiring. Always to energize the circuit before working on any electrical components. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. If you're not sure how to safely work on an electrical system, consult a qualified electrician. Aluminum wiring poses unique challenges, but with proper knowledge, techniques, and materials, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. Staying informed and consulting with qualified professionals are key to mitigating the risks associated with aluminum wiring. Remember to prioritize safety and adhere to the guidelines set forth by the NEC and local electrical codes. Regular inspections and maintenance can help identify and address potential problems before they escalate into hazardous situations. By taking these precautions, you can protect yourself and your property from the dangers of aluminum wiring.